What I'm going to do today is I'm going to make a preface before going into a discourse by this Rebbe who was called the Rashab, who was basically the uh, the master of Chabad Hasidus. He was like the Maimonides of, or the Rambam of Hasidus. Here's a picture of him. And but in order to understand some of his concepts, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the sefer called the Tanya here, and there's these little things here, the notes on the side. What I wanted to explain is what is Chachma. The idea of Chachma, we call a person a Chacham. It means he's a wise person, right? But in Kabbalah, what we mean by Chachma is that it's first the enclothing of the light in the highest level in Atzilut. It comes first in Chachma because the Ein Sof. You see, there's this idea of the unlimited Ein Sof. It's called Echad Ha'emes, the true unity. That the idea of Chachma is more than just wisdom. It's the idea that Shehu levadahu v'ein zulato. Zuhi madregat ha'chachma, which means the concept of Chachma is that there's nothing else besides God. It's not the idea of a wise person only, that he's a Chacham, but there's nothing else besides God. So, in order to understand this this mimer, this discourse, there's a section here that says that the original intent was that there should be a dwelling place in the world, and prior to the contraction, you see, you have to understand basic concepts here. There's the idea of the contraction of God's light. That in order that there should be an existence of a world, there had to be something called a tzimtzum. This was a contraction of God's light. There was the light which was filling the void, and then what God did is He put something called a kav, like a ray, after there was this contraction. So it says before the world was created, so to speak, there was only Him and His name. That means before the contraction. Now the idea of this contraction was formulated by Rabbi Isaac Luria, who was a Kabbalist in the 1500s. Prior to Isaac Luria, there was no concept of the contraction. The contemporary Kabbalist at that time, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, did not talk about this contraction, the tzimtzum. So the idea of Shema and Hu. Now Shema, it means the name of God. And Hu is actually referring to God Himself. Though there's this concept in Hasidus called the essence and the ray, or the hispashtut. Etzem means the essence, and the hispashtut means which is coming out like a ray of it. Hispashtut literally means to be spread. So you had the hispashtus, the Shema, the name, is the source of the worlds, because in the essence of God, it's not the light there. It's not even relevant to be connected to the worlds. So the name is only called the Hara, which means a ray. Just like the name of a man, it's not really the essence of the man itself. It's only a revelation of the man, a ray of the man. So in the Ein Sof, the name and God were one. That before the contraction, there was no relevance to be uh, there was no revelation yet. Uh, so you can't even call even or light or anything before this Tzimtzum, because they were completely separated from the world, and they were in complete unity. Now then, there's this concept here of the Rishima. Now you see there is this Kav, which is a ray which comes down after the contraction, and there was a Rishima, which is related to the power of limitation of God. So you have two powers in God: the power of Bligvo, which means to be totally unlimited, and then you have the source of the power of limitation, which is called Rishima, which is related to the vessels. You have the lights and the vessels. Now they're not pots and pans and lights, but these are abstract concepts. So you say that there was him and his name together. That even in the level of the letters. Now the Rishima is related to the power of limitation and the vessels and the letters. Letters are like the vessels. Even there was a revelation of the Ein Sof, the unlimited. And even there, the level of letters was not even an existence. Now we have the word Metzius. The Metzius means existence, as opposed to before, let's say before the Tzimtzum, there would be no existence. Now there's a concept of letters. There's letters which are written on top of a surface, and letters which are going from one side to the other side. They're called chakukim. It's like the letter, let's say Samach, would be suspended in air. It would be, you would look through the letter and you would see right through the tablet. You would see to the other side. Now there's a concept also of hashara. That means in the Ein Sof there was the light which is only to itself and not to revelation, and then there was something called a rising up the will of God, a hashara, like a projection, let's say, and that already, it was already the beginning of the connection of the light that's connected to the world. Because God wanted there should be a dwelling place in the world, that it means that He wanted to bring down the level that of the Ein Sof that was before the contraction should come down also to be revealed in the world after the Tzimtzum, after the contraction. That there should be unity, like there was before. Because the whole concept of Metzius, or existence, comes from the contraction or the Tzimtzum. But you want to have that, you should have that revelation of unity and the higher light to come even after the Tzimtzum into this world. So it means dwelling place in this world. And okay, now we're talking back to Chachma, as I previously explained in the portion of Tanya there. Chachma is where the Or Ein Sof, the light, the infinite light, rests. So we said before that Chachma is, there's nothing else besides God. That's the whole concept of Chachma. Just a wise man, a Chacham. It's the whole concept of the unity of God, that there's nothing else besides God. And it says, Oraisa Echala Ilah Kudish. Now it says that means, Oraisa is an Aramaic word for the Torah. Hechala means like a home, a dwelling, a high dwelling of God. Now, Araisa actually referring to the idea of the Chachma, Torah, Chachma. That is where the dwelling place of the Ein Sof says. As it says in Tanya, as I showed you that part there, that the Hashra of Ein Sof Baruch Hu, the dwelling place of the Ein Sof, the infinite, is in Chachma. And what I said before, Echad HaEmes, the true unity. Shu Levada Ve'en Zulasad, it's He is and nothing else. And that is the level of Chachma, as I showed you in the Tanya. And that's where it's Echad HaEmes, the true unity. And that is the idea of Dirah, the idea that you should bring the highest level of godliness to dwell here in this world. And that's what the word Dirah means. It's the revelation of his whole essence. Dirah means dwelling. It says, like one who is dwelling in his house of his friend, that his whole essence is there. That it's not just that he's revealing himself, but it's the idea that it's his whole essence that is there. And that's the idea that the revelations from above are only a ray, a hara, but that's not really a dira. The dira is not just a ray, a hara, but it's that the whole essence should be in this world of godliness. And that comes through the mitzvahs, which is the idea on Shabbat. It says, on Shabbat, ledorotam, it says, to your generations. And the word dor, generation, is also related to the word dirah,